Hello, everybody. It's Jussel here again. Back to live trading. And we have a new day on our hands today. So, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully, everyone's doing fine. We're going to start with pre market preparation as always, 15 minutes before the trading session starts. That's how we do it here on this channel. We're still a little bit down on the week, but we're gonna turn it around for sure. All right, well, let's go to our pre-market preparation. This is what we do always before the market opens, so we have some type of idea at what levels we want to be trading. You should always have a plan before engaging a trade, and pre-market preparation is a great way of making that plan for yourself. So I have my strategy, but I always combine my strategy with a pre-market preparation, so I know when to act and when to not act, and I know somewhat, an idea of what type of scenario today is going to show us. So let's start with that. We're going to open our trading scene here, trading platform as always, and we're going to jump right into pre-market preparation. So I use a tool called TPO, time price opportunity. It's just basically said a profile that shows where time has spent the most time. So if we look here, for example, when you see a big bulge in the profile, that means that time has spent the most time here. And you can see here is the naked volume point of control, which means that this is where time has spent the most time in the overnight session. The overnight sessions are always full white. That's how I have set it up, so it's easy to distinguish between the RTY session compared to the overnight session. Then the blue colored session is always blue, and the value area, the area where time has spent most of the time, so 70% of time has or trading has occurred in this specific zone. So we know this is where the day's value was. If there's anything you want to ask about this specifically, I'm always happy to talk about TPO, but you could think of this as daily bars, but just with more information. I have a magnifying glass into the daily bars so I can see what happened inside of the daily bar without having to analyze every single bar in the day itself. I can see it very clearly from just this chart and make a plan very quickly. And of course, it takes some practice to get it down, but the more you practice, the better you're gonna be at making daily plans. All right, my lovely viewers, let's make our pre-market plan. So yesterday we had a B-shaped profile. We kind of rejected higher prices again and closed value here at these specific prices. Overnight profile is the opposite of a B profile. It's a P-shaped profile. Like this, you can see the letter P. We have the B and the P's. So clearly we rejected lower prices overnight, and now we're again back to prior days value. Okay. So we have few things we are looking for here today. I'm gonna take a sip of my drink. In ES, this is a level that I'm looking to get to close today. It's a magnet. It's the yesterday's close. It's the previous close. And as a gap trader, I like to fade to the close. So this is gonna be a level of interest for me. We also have one old close that hasn't gotten filled out. So this is also a level up here that is a magnet. We also created some single prints overnight session. These singles are not as important as RTH session, but I still think they are valid. So we have three magnets to the upside, really, but the market is bearish. So there's a small conflict there. But if I'm going to look for trades today, I'm going to look for bullish trades. All right, so scenario one is that we push down, reject at this specific level, or then we even run the overnight low into the previous close and possibly even up here into these single prints. Who knows, if we have a crazy day with volatility, we could even take out this level, but that would be a humongous move. But I'm looking at something like this. on my first scenario, the first scenario is we drop down from the open, we open up, take the previous close, and then possibly reject value to the upside. Something like this. This is scenario one, right? Let's change colors and see what the second scenario is. So we have to create a bear scenario as well, because you can't just lock in one scenario. Otherwise, you're married to that scenario and you can't really change your plays later on. So let's look at the second scenario. We just open up straight. We take the previous close instantly, move up, run the previous day's high, and reject back to value. That's scenario two. Me specifically, I'm looking for the scenario one because that gives me the best risk to reward ratio and the most magnets on the upside. So that's ES. That's what I'm seeing. Those two scenarios. Push down outside of value and then back to the magnets which are above. Or push up, reject previous, value that we had above, and maybe even touch the singles and push back into value. So like a balanced day on both sides. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Who knows? We could still have a trend continuation to the downside as well, but this is what my trade plan is for today in ES. Let's look at YM. I actually like YM much more than ES today. We have a very clear, balanced profile overnight. Not very volatile, but still, we have some decent moves here overnight session, which means that probably going to have about the same range, if not a little bit greater, in today's RTH session. Yesterday was balanced as well, and we also closed inside of value. So what am I looking for? Well, we have a previous close that's unclosed above here and single print. So we have a double magnet at pretty much the same level, right? So for me, today, the clear play is as follows. We push down. Oh, I have the wrong color. Let's change the color back to yellow. Scenario one, as you can see here. Push down outside of the overnight level. Let's run the overnight level, possibly even the previous day's low. Who knows? But around these levels, this is a level I'm looking for. Run into this level, close the previous close, and single print, and an old previous close from, I believe, Monday. Monday, exactly, Monday. So this is what I'm looking for. We have three nice levels on YM as targets, and I think they are very reasonable considering the volatility in the market as well. Let's change our color a little bit. Scenario 2. Oh, this is a very bad color. Scenario 2 is as follows. Push up and just take everything at once and reject, and even possibly move to the downside. But I think it's very possible we also chop around these areas. So balance follows balance. We already had quite big moves previously this week, so in my opinion, usually when that's the case, you see more balanced days until we have a continuation, because people are just agreeing over price at the moment. So two simple scenarios. First scenario, push down, reject the lows of overnight session and yesterday's low into these two magnets above. No, three magnets above. We have magnet 1, magnet 2, and magnet 3, which will give us quite good risk reward and clear levels to look for exits. All right, and that's for YM. RTY, looks a little bit different. We are actually opening above the previous close of yesterday in RTY. But the idea is still pretty much the same. Push outside, reject the previous day's high, and take the single print, possibly even the previous close, depends how extended we want to be, and push back to the previous close of yesterday. This is one scenario, or the second scenario, if we don't get the entry here, there might be a second chance at the single prints of Monday. I mean, the previous close of Monday, and then we move back to value. That's scenario one. Let's draw scenario two. Scenario two is that we just drop straight down, run the low, move back to value, and here we have a choice. Either we are gonna take these magnets as well after running this low, or then we're just gonna trend down. But so this is like 2.1, and then we have 2.2. Both of these scenarios are possible, but I'm only gonna trade towards the short side on RTY. I'm only gonna trade towards today's or yesterday's previous close. That's just my rule per se. But these are the scenarios that I'm seeing for every market. If there's a market that you want me to review, let me know in chat. I'm always happy to help and just look at your market, because there's a lot of markets. I only trade 3: ES, YM, and RTY. I've traded Nasdaq before as well. I have some experience there, but I feel like Nasdaq is just too fast for me. Maybe I'm getting old and my reaction time is not as fast as anymore. I'm 27, so I'm not that old, but you know what I'm getting at. Yeah, it's too fast for me. I like the more slow-paced markets that still have great moves, but are not really that aggressive as NQ. But everyone has their own taste in markets. Great. We pretty much got that done in just few minutes, which few minutes before the market opens, which is a great thing to see. Great thing to see. Drinking some iced tea here. Yeah, now we're just waiting for the session to start. Make sure we have our order flow charts as well ready. Sometimes you have to make them load a little bit. I see that there's some settings that I have to change. Let's make this 100, just like that, so we get more information. That's just the only thing about that setting. We get more bars. I can choose how many bars I want to see on my screen, and I want at least 100, so I can go back and see what happened previously. Otherwise it would just automatically erase, after 20 bars, and then I only have 20 bars to look at. But it's 100% gonna create more than 20 bars on this day's specific session. All right, but I think the YM play is the most obvious. So this is what we are gonna look for in YM. Oh yeah, here you can see we have the previous close here, so we kind of have like a double target. If we get this move out of the open where we move down, we run the overnight low and the previous day's low into previous close. This is a great level to exit, but I might just leave a small amount for this previous close as well, because the fun thing with markets is that sometimes the market likes to correct everything at once. And I feel like today is kind of that type of day where you have a possibility of correcting three things at once, three structural things at once. And usually in these days, I have great winning days. Here we go. A bearish opening across the board a little bit. YM is gonna be the market I'm looking for right now mainly. But yeah, we have to be patient and we have to wait for our levels. You know, the thing why you create levels is because you get the best possibility of hitting, you know, your trade. You get a higher win rate when you're engaging at levels that are interesting. Also, I get much better risk reward if I'm at these levels. So you get higher probability and a bigger risk reward ratio, which is amazing. So why would I not take that? I'm not interested in getting a small win here. My philosophy in trading is that 20% of your trades will pay 80% of your profits. They will make 80% of your profits. So it's not about winning, you know, with a very, very high win rate. No. The one trade that really works and you bet on it properly, you add into it, will pay for 80% of your profits. And that's the case with my PNL as well. You know, I have a daily win rate of like 50%. 50% of my days are winners and 50% are losers, but I end up making so much more on these winning days compared to my losing days. It's so simple to do that where you're losing less and winning more, but it's a habit you have to create. You know, people like to overtrade and they don't like days where they're losing, so they want to create, you know, they want to see more green days on their trading journal, which is toxic. Toxic. Don't trade winning or losing days. Just take a good trade. That's the only thing you need. Just take a good trade. You don't have to think about your P&L, how many winning days did you have a week. You don't have to think about that stuff. Just think about how to take a good trade and how to execute a good trade. That's the only thing you need. Just execute as well as you can. Don't don't start to chase P&L just because you had a losing trade. Just accept the losing trade. It's fine. You know, everyone's gonna have losing days. Well, enough with the chatter here. YM is looking to take the close out of the ETH VWAP already. By the looks of it. Let's see if YM can actually run that level. Because that would mean that our YM trade would be over. There would be no setup here in YM. If that was to happen, we are 2 points away from the previous close. So very high probability that that specific scenario will happen. I'm gonna look at the TPO. Where is the previous day's high? It's at 24667. All right, YM closed the gap. There's no trade in YM. RTY and ES remaining the only trades. ES really requires some patience here if you want to see this trade happen. RTY is the more high probable one right now, but we'll see. There's right now really no trade here specifically. RTY 2466. This is where we have a great level as well. We had a reaction at the overnight high here. Specifically, ES is moving downwards from the previous close in the open. I heard I heard a Discord message, so I'll just open my my Discord on my phone. My I have 5 screens, and all my screens are full of trading things. So sometimes, if I wasn't streaming, I would maybe have space for Discord as well. Was there anything important? Still waiting. Yes, I'm looking to test the ETH VWAP, I believe. Would be very bullish if we reject here and we don't even test it and we just turn. We do have a poor high here at ES, so I think the previous close is a very nice target today. We have a poor high there, but then it's just about where do we find a trade. And yeah, I mean, if we go short here, we would be looking at like a over 50-point move. That would be a crazy trade, right? Um, Depends on the volatility, of course. I would have to see here. We do have the Fed shutdown, or but I'm not sure if there's any news today that we are gonna get. We're gonna have a composite PMI flash, but I'm not sure if that's of any importance because of the Fed not being. Oh well, yeah. In 15 minutes we're gonna have news, or 10. PMI at 17. So for now, there's nothing to do for us. We're just enjoying our time here. Trading done right is very boring. So we're just gonna be bored and wait for a play to happen in front of our eyes. Today's open has been quite stale. A balanced opening overall. YM already closed the gap. RTY and ES still left. Mostly focused on ES right now. I don't feel like RTY is gonna give me the risk reward I want. Could be the case for ES as well. The overnight low is quite far away. So we could see a double P close and not even get a trade here today, which is obviously unfortunate, but that's how it goes sometimes. Been a very slow week setup wise. We had one trade on, I believe it was Monday. Tuesday, no trades yesterday, and then today's Wednesday, and we're still looking for a setup. But it could always be the case that we are again trading a day where we get no setup. That's fine. You just have to be okay with it and wait for a specific thing that you were planning for. But the session is still young. We still have a lot of plays that could happen here today. If there's anyone who has any questions or just wants to talk, let me know. If you have any good setups today, let me know in chat. And you also have a possibility of joining me on stream and talking with me here. If you want coaching, that's possible too. I sometimes coach viewers here on stream. As I am a training coach, but on stream you're gonna get it for free of charge, which is always nice. I can give value back to the community when I'm streaming. I am going bearish after the close, and ES very, very balanced. Very, very balanced. Nothing really going on. If you have any questions about my charts, let me know. I would be happy to answer your questions. If you have any questions about my charts, my levels, my setups, whatever you'd like. All right, we are seeing now a move to the downside here on ES. Not a very wide IB yet. 10 points. 10-point IB. RTY is looking to close the gap here out of the overnight high by the looks of it. But that was not the level we were looking for. We were looking for a little bit of a higher entry level ourselves. It would only be a 10-point trade, so it's not really worth the risk reward here if we went short from that overnight high. And I think, it's a good level, but I'm not really want to take a 10-point trade, and the risk reward would just not be there at all. And we also have these magnets above in RTY, so I feel like it wouldn't really make sense to do that. Well, we really want to see something like this in ES. This is something like what I would like to see today, right? And this is the setup we are waiting for. There's really nothing else to do before we see this, and it looks like RTY will also, close the gap already here in the session. Oh, it was very close to it. RTY getting just few ticks away from the ETH VWAP, and now looks like the buyers are pressing in RTY, but I still think the previous close will get hit in RTY. And the ES is finding buyers as well. Let's look at the order flow charts here. You can see this is kind of interesting. We had two very bearish bars or bearish rotations, but delta was positive. So there were buyers catching this move, and there was a clear divergence here. And the buyers took control here and moved the market up. Do I think we're gonna do this? Maybe. Do I think it's more possible that we do this? Yes, but I think both options are completely valid. I'm gonna go and get a toothpick. I feel I have a thing right now in my mouth, so I'll see you soon. Oh wait, never mind. I have here one on my table. Never mind. We are not going anywhere. We got ourselves toothpick. I just ate before the stream, so and I didn't have time to use the toothpick. But now problem solved somewhat. Gap still not yet closed on RTY. Still no gap close. If there's a specific song or music you'd like to hear as well on the stream, just let me know. Of course, I have to play uncopyrighted music because these VODs are gonna stay on YouTube and Kick. So gotta keep it uncopyrighted. But if you have any suggestions and you know a playlist that would work, go ahead. I really like classical music because, well, it's uncopyrighted as well nowadays. You don't get copyright strikes, copyright free, because it's so old already. But they're just classics. I mean, the name is classical music, but it's fun to listen to when you're trading. It gives you this calm and free mind. It feels like you're creative and you're getting all these beautiful sounds into your eardrum, and you're kind of getting a flow state when you're listening to this type of music when you're trading. I feel like keeps you really sharp. RTY did not close the gap. Won't you look at that? So marriage music playing. Interesting. All right, now we're looking at the poor high. ES already did the thing. It did not go to the level I wanted to see. So we have to say bye bye to the ES trade today. Won't you look at that? We took the stat. Now we have one more market left, and that's RTY. Let's keep our eyes open and let's see if we can find a setup here on RTY. But the risk reward has to be quite great. We have to look at the TPO here. Where do we have a level? Like at least 64s, hopefully 70s is kind of what I'm looking for here in RTY. So 64.4 to 70s. We have time here, so we can just draw a level there. Oh, we have to edit this. Properties. Extend. Let's change the color to this as well. And let's do it here. I believe it was from the 90s. RTY 70.4. 0.4 to the 64s. This is kind of our level where we are allowed to go short, right? This specific level here. If we break this specific level, then I think it's very possible that we run this old P close. But let's see what the market is able to do here. We are already able to go short here at this specific level, but we want to see something special happening here. This could be a stop run as well, so we want to see a run past and back into previous close. With the risk reward that's respectable, let's look at the PNF chart here. Negative delta of 35. we are starting to see some increasing selling here, but the high is not clean. It's not a clean high, so we kind of want to see the run continue a little bit. Let's zoom out a little bit and see if we have some levels here. So you can see, we have a support level here as well, where we are looking at. We are just now as well hitting a obvious level. So this could be a spot where a short trade could be fine as well. Let's see. We would want to see something specific here happening on the PNF chart. Delta is very, very bullish still. Delta still rising, price still rising. We don't want to enter against the current as well. So let's just see where we can take it. A little delta shift here. Not a huge one, but you can see sellers are stepping on the gas pedal a little bit more at this specific level. I would have to imagine my risk reward here. Let's say if I enter somewhere here. Yeah, it's really not too great here. Not enough risk reward ratio for a trade yet. We still want to kinda move upwards and get a better entry point. We also have news in 8 minutes, so expecting to see something there. I need to research the government shutdown a little bit more. I'm not really sure how it affects the news. Yesterday we had the Jolts announcement, but they're not. Was it Jolts? Yeah, but we got pretty much no reaction to it. So I think there's the government shutdown is the reason why we had that happen. But I don't care about news too much. I just like to know when the news announcement is, so I'm not taking a blind trade into our news announcement, if you know what I mean. But yeah, few minutes before and the news announcement, and then wait a few minutes after the news announcement, and then it's just back to normal trading. Starting to see some negative delta here, but nothing major. Nothing major yet. Very low volume as well. Usually low volume is just a proof of a trend continuing. Usually at the end of the move you start seeing a little bit more volume, these FOMO buyers or sellers. Lovely to have my dog here with me. She's always trading with me. She's sitting at our sofa here in my trading office, just enjoying her time with her owner. All right, back to RTY. Negative delta here. Negative delta, negative delta, negative delta. You can see how negative delta is just increasing a little bit by a little bit. From these levels already, I think risk reward is starting to look pretty all right. Let's imagine an entry from here. Yeah, still not quite 1 to 2. So not quite where I want to be. I want to at least get like 2 to 3. Um, so yeah, we're still waiting, and we do have our level here above, which is kind of the level we are interested in. But this is looking like a more of a bull market day again. You see a pullback in the first 15 to 30 minutes, and then after that we just run to the upside. A very classic bull market um, pattern. And lately it has been the shorts being in control, but now today this opening is kind of reminding me of the times we have had for pretty much the whole year. Been a very bullish market. This bull market has been a crazy one for sure. Hey, but if you have any questions in chat, let me know. I'm streaming every day. 15 minutes before the market opens is where I start my pre-market preparation. And then after that, I execute some trades if I get trades, talk with my viewers, and in the future, I'm gonna have some guests as well from um, my own coaching program. I coach traders around the world, so hopefully we can bring some of these clients over on the stream, and I can show people how to build up good habits for free while I'm helping my client. I think that adds so much value to the stream. Something I want to do for sure in the future. Well, right now we're just moving to the upside. There's really nothing else to do here. Let's look at ES. ES also flying to the moon. Stars. It's a great song. There is quite a lot of liquidity at the 2460 level. You can see huge amount of orders there. 117. There's one 100 lot order sitting at that specific level. Still a huge positive delta after the negative delta. So clearly we had some sellers coming in, but the buyers said, nope, we're not gonna go anywhere. We are gonna continue to the upside. Then again, we had a huge positive delta on this bar, but we kind of rejected the high. So I really want to see if we are able to come back to these areas and keep buying. Otherwise, it could be the shorts taking control here in RTY. Shorts taking the control here in RTY, and yes, it is. We could have a setup on our hands here. What risk reward do we get? We get a pretty good risk reward here at this specific level, almost a 4 to 1. So we're looking for a short here at this specific level already. If we can get it. You can see how delta is. We had huge buying here, but nothing happened. The buyers couldn't push through. This usually is a sign of, hey, the buyers were not able to push down. The 9 EMA is also sloping already, so it's looking like we could run out of gas a little bit. But we have to wait for the actual selling move to start before we're gonna take a trade. We're not gonna enter into this. Well, now we got news, so we can't enter into the news announcement, obviously. that would I would want to go short here, but the news announcement kind of made the risk reward not that great. What an unfortunate move there because we missed our entry. YM had a very different reaction. We had like a very fast move to the downside and then just recovered totally, but RTY is just flushing to the downside. Oh my god, what a flush. What a flush. And we missed our entry there. The news announcement just kind of did its thing, but sometimes that's what happens, you know. You have a great plan and you're looking to short, but then you quite don't get it. Quite don't get it. But we still have a chance here to take an entry, right? There's a possibility um we find buyers, we move back and reject, and then we can ride the second wave, right? It's very important to not FOMO and get hasty. Just because there's a huge news scandal, out of nowhere, you don't want to just blindly follow or enter before the news scandal, even if there's a setup. So this time it went this way, and usually you will get a second chance. If you don't, you should just be fine with not taking the trade. But I'm not gonna enter into a candle like this. That's just pure stupidness, right? I need to check the risk reward a little bit here. What would we be looking at here? It's still decent, but I want to kind of get it above the 9 EMA and then reject it. And then reject it. Have a move back and fall down. Is what I want to see. But we're not gonna FOMO in here. We're just gonna be patient. Patient with it. Let's find a small pullback and then take a short trade into the gap to settle. If we went short here, the risk reward ratio would be quite bad. So we have to be realistic with our trade here. Let's look for a little pullback here first. And then we can see if this trade is worth taking. We also have if we can make a pullback right now, it's also going to be more high probability that we move back because we're going to have a micro low that's incomplete. We have a poor low. If we move from here back to the highs or close to the highs. But yeah, right now not really seeing it yet. All right, now we're having a move back. This is going to be an area where you can start to look for an entry. This is where I think the short will bounce if it will bounce. There we go. We get a bounce. I'm short. I'm short. There we go. We get A trade today. Now we just wait and see if this trade works out. We had a small move in favor, but then instantly found some buyers. I still think this is a great level to be hustling in. I don't want to see a higher high here. ES already did a higher high. Let's see. What the So still a lot of bullish delta here, but nothing happened. We had a down move with 17 positive delta. So the buyers got a little bit rejected here. Let's see if the sellers can take it now from here. And I am allowing myself to add from this specific level here. But only if we get to this level here. Then I'm gonna look for an ad. Still rejecting the 9 EMA. But now we are turning into negative delta. Let's see if the sellers can actually keep the price here. With an increasing negative delta, I would want to see the price react. But buyers are pushing the prices up, which is obviously bad for us. If I get stopped out here, I will try it again though. I do feel like this is a good trade to take regardless. Good trade to take regardless. And we do have a power low here, right? Right, we ran the high. Let's see if we can turn back from the high. That was a pretty aggressive last push. Let's see if it turns after a stop run. Sellers coming in. We might have a re-entry on our hands. Let's remove this level here. Let's see how it reacts here at the 9 EMA. Do we continue downwards or do we keep chopping up here in this level? This is a entry level I would want to have as well, but I can't enter into this bar. I want to see it close below the 9 EMA. And then if that's the case, then I would be allowed to take an entry. All right, 5 seconds and the bar closes. There we go. We take the entry. And our last try at this specific trade. If we lose this, then we are out of it. Last trade regardless. I have a rule that says that if I lose two in a row, then I'm out. And this is the last market to trade, so then I'm not allowed any trade anymore. But I like this setup. And it's moving instantly in favor. In favor. And I am looking to add into this position as well. We're also kind of aligning with the bigger trend. Which is down. And we do have this poor low here, which adds to the entry. Makes it better. Look at the PNF chart. Huge negative delta. We're still holding at this level. We still haven't touched the RTH VWAP, but I think this low will at least get taken out. And that's also a good reason to the entry, because I'm betting on the fact that low is gonna get taken out. I think the only mistake with this entry here was that I should have waited for a rotation to the downside. Now I kind of entered against buying, which is not optimal. So I admit I made a small mistake there on the entry. Even if, the move was down already from here, and I would kind of be entering with momentum in a sense, because I'm entering on the right side of the V, but we kind of had a new V forming. So what I want to see is, an entry and close below the 9 EMA and enter somewhere here. But that never happened, and we had a second leg, and then we got the proper entry. A small thing, but something I can improve on upon my next trading session, and something for the review. But yeah, the second entry was a pretty good one. Moves in favor instantly. Now it's just about, can we close the gap? Can we get to the target? Who knows? But I like the trade. Now it's just up to the market to do its thing. And you never know what's gonna happen, right? Market is a random, thing. Anything is possible. You never know if there's a new buyer or seller coming in. You can't manipulate the market or anything like that. At least a small trader can't. So trading is a little bit like life. Life throws turns and twists at you, and you can't predict life all the time. There's some predictable patterns in life, but you can't predict every day of your life. Um, so that's why you have trading, right? It's the same thing. It's a perfect one-to-one comparison to life. You just have to learn to see these patterns, take advantage of the patterns. Even if you fail, it's fine, but just manage your risk and trade another day. But you never know what's going to happen in life, and you just have to learn to deal with every twist and turn in the moment. But that's the difference between someone who's experienced in life and also trading. They know something is going to happen, but they're always planning ahead and they're ready. And once that twist and turn happens, they are mentally ready to take on a burden like that. So we're having a move to the downside for now. We moved to the RTH VWAP, and right now we're trying to push through it. Still holding below it a little bit, but no one ever knows what's gonna happen here. But if we get to the 50% point with this type of momentum, I'm gonna look to add into my position. But I'm gonna wait for some type of structure to put my stop behind. Right now, there's no structure to put my stop behind. So something like this, and then I would put my stop there and get the rotation. But right now, there's nothing like that. We could just straight go there, but we do have this ETH VWAP here, so it doesn't make sense for me to add here when it's probably gonna do something like this anyways, right? So might as well be here adding then rather than here at this point when it's still unsure. Now if we make the push and make a lower low here, I might put my stop here behind this, but let's see what the rotation is going to look like. Are we going to get something like this? Or is it going to go even deeper? No clue. No clue. No clue yet. Time will tell. This looks like a great rotation if we can now find lower prices. If we can do something like this, now it's a great add, and then I get my stop position at a quite good deal, I would say. So I'm gonna wait and let's see if the market can turn back here to the downside. We could obviously also just find support here at the RTH VWAP, but I'm looking to add at this specific level, if possible. If possible, then we get quite clear structure on this trade. Quite clear structure on this trade. I like the reaction initially there. Now we will see if we can break through RTH VWAP and make a lower low. If we make a lower low, like this, then I have confidence to put my stop here above the high and continue hopefully to the previous close. I want to play off the momentum, and if you have the momentum in favor, I'm going to add because it adds to the probability. Adds to the probability. And if we can break the RTH VWAP, we do still have the ETH VWAP here, right? But I don't want to see something like this either, right? So we have to manage our risk. Not every time do you get something that wins, and I might get stopped out even if I add, or because I added, but the winner is going to be so much greater if I add. And again, it comes back to the fact 20% of your winners pay for 80% of your trades, or your total wins, so to speak. So we're looking to add here, and now we are ready to execute. If we need we didn't make a lower low yet. Now we do. And there we go. We add to the position. And we have new risk reward here. New risk reward here. We don't want to see it break above the RTH VWAP again. We want to see the continue moving, see the move moving downwards. We had a huge buying order on ES. 1,989 lots on ES to the upside. Big buyer. But we are still holding here. And this is the play we're looking for. Now it's just hoping that this trade works out, right? We are betting on this trade to work. And that's it. We take a loss there. We really bet on the fact that we would move through that level. Do I still think that the trade will win? Yes. But that was an unfortunate. You can't predict every specific rotation. And yeah, we bet on the fact that the market would make a lower low, and then with that lower low make the previous close. But now we entered a chop, and now it made a lower low but also a higher high, which obviously ran our stop. We lost 1 hour on that trade, which means we're down 2 hour on this specific day. ES also looking like it's going to move to the upside there. But yep, that's it. We take an L again this week. So 2 trades this week, or 3 trades actually. All losses, but that's fine. I like the try. And, if we don't really push the lower prices here, I don't really Really like it having a deeper pullback anyways. Ran out of momentum. I'll still see here what happens for a while, but I'm not gonna enter any trades anyways. I got my two shots. The first one was a little bit not so great. The second one was a perfect entry. We moved back to break even, pretty much where I entered, and that's where I got stopped out as well. Around these areas, I was betting on a lower low, and now you can see it. It pretty much moves back. But I'm also out of shots, and this is very likely. Yep, that's the only risk about adding, right? But usually when it works, you make so much more money, and you should always push the probabilities. If you have the probabilities in your favor and you have the momentum in your favor, I'd rather add than watch the move come back and stop me out. And yeah, that's the idea with the trade. The entry location was great. Where I entered the trade was great. The first entry was not the best, I will say. I made a small mistake there with the entry. The second entry is perfect. Perfect. I would change nothing with it. Came down, up, down, and we closed again below the RTH VWAP, and we made a lower low, and I bet on that fact that we will get the extension, the same extension we got here, we would get to the downside and take the previous close. Did not do that. We made a higher high, which is obviously a bullish sign, and we also made a 50% retracement of the move, so this could also mean continuation. So we played the play, it ended up losing, but the idea was good. Okay, that's it for today, really. All my trades are done. We got the one set up on RTY, the other markets already did their thing beforehand. And now it's just me alone, and the markets are closed. For me today, no more trades today. Two losses, that's fine. We still have a long week ahead of us, so nothing to worry about. And yeah, it was a good play. The first entry was a little bit iffy. If I could replay today again, I would not take the first entry. It was a little bit FOMO-ish because I saw the news move. I waited for a pullback, but I should really wait for confirmation before taking that, and I did not. Um, I did not do anything against my rules. Did not do anything against my rules, but I felt like it was a very sloppy entry. So I really have to review that back and maybe even make some type of rule around that in the future. The second entry was amazing. Moved instantly in favor. We got a nice stop position for the day. It was great risk reward. And yeah, it was a good trade, but we added into it and the momentum ended and we got stopped out. Totally fine. The risk reward was amazing. We risked $250 for a trade almost worth 700. That risk reward ratio is amazing. We're talking about 5R at least, 5 to 6R on that specific trade if it works. So that's how I do it. I might have a little bit lower risk reward ratio when I'm adding. I mean, a win rate when I'm adding, but the risk reward ratio is so much greater that it pays for my trades in the future. But hey, great trading day. We were alive still for an hour. I would say it's a success. Decent execution besides the one entry, which was a little bit questionable. And yeah, tomorrow a new day, and I will be live again 15 minutes before the US session opens. And trading ES, trading YM, trading RTY, as always. Do you have any questions right now before I'm ending my stream? If you have, let me know in the chat. I'm here listening to classical music as well, but I'm listening to your questions in chat. If you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, otherwise, Jusl will be out. Jusl will go and do something else. Take a little break from trading. Then tomorrow morning, review the trades, fill in my journal, and back to trading. Let's see, before we end here, what do we have tomorrow on our hands? Today we had PMI. We have jobless claims at 15:30, but that's before the open, so that doesn't really concern me. Wholesale inventory is not a huge news announcement there. Fed Bar speech, Fed Williams speech. We really do not have any major moves or news tomorrow, so it's probably going to be a little bit more of a quiet session, maybe good for mean reversion trading. So I'm really looking forward to Thursday, which is statistically my best day. What do we have on Friday then? On Friday we have average hourly earnings. That's 15:30, so that's 30 minutes before the open. Oh, look at that! There's NFP tomorrow. I mean Friday. I wonder if we get that because there's the government shutdown. Probably. And then we have, but that's also before the news, or I mean before the session opens, so that doesn't really bother us too much. Michigan consumer sentiment on Friday as well. That's gonna be a big news announcement. So Friday is very, very news heavy. We're gonna have some exciting trading on Friday. Thursday tomorrow, I expect more slow markets. We are gonna, not have that many catalysts in the market. So I expect us to be a little bit slower, maybe have one of those classic balance days that I really personally love. Thursday being my best day. I'm waiting for tomorrow. Now I'm gonna take a little break from trading. I'm gonna review my trades tomorrow in the morning, and then I'll see you 15 minutes before the session starts tomorrow, and we'll be trading again. ES, YM, and RTY. And if someone else has any other markets they want me to review, I'm always open to that. But these are the three markets I specifically trade, and I have a statistical edge in. All right. Thanks for watching. If you haven't followed or subscribed or whatever, follow or subscribe right now if you want to. You don't have to. But if you want to see me tomorrow again, live action trading, do that. See you tomorrow. Have a great one, boys and girls. Bye bye. Bye bye.